It's your girl, Miss J, and this is Talks with J, Views of a Sagittarius, episode 22. Are we gonna call this one? Will the real you please stand up? Yep, this episode is called Will the Real You Please Stand Up? You know how when you first meet somebody and you're trying to get to know them, within like the first 30 days of trying to get to know a person, you know, you go through the basics. It's basically like when you get these free trial periods from like apps. It's basically the same way with getting to know somebody. You start to learn like the basic things about them, like their favorite color, their favorite show, whether they like sports, whether they go to church, whether they want to get married. You start to know certain things about them. Then, once you start to get to know things about them, you decide whether you want to continue getting to know things about them. So it's basically like, okay, do I want to keep subscribing to this app month to month? Which is basically the same as, do I want to continue to keep getting to know this person based off of what I've started to learn about them? You know, is it really worth the time to continue putting in, to continue learning more and more about a person? You start to learn about a person's goals and their expectations, their intentions. When getting to know somebody, you definitely should know like their career goals and like life goals, whether marriage is an option, whether they want to have children. You know, these are like things that you should be, you know, having conversations about. People's intentions. I don't think people definitely tell their intentions, because a lot of times people like to string you along and then you don't waste your time, because from the beginning, day one, a person wasn't clear with their intentions. So my thing is, make sure you tell a person your intentions. That way you avoid wasting your time getting to know someone when you know it's not going to go nowhere. Stuck in the friend zone, stuck in a situationship. All that could have been avoided if you just told a person on day one what it is you were looking for, and a person could have yayed or nayed whether they wanted to continue along getting to know you, or they just want to say, oh, this what the road is for me. You got that. I'll move on to the next thing. I think knowing a person's career goals is important, because you want to know what it is that a person wants to achieve. Life goals. Everybody has a different mission in life. So some people want to have kids and get married and live that life, and the kids are a legacy they leave behind. Other people want to do other things with their lives, just be out here in these streets. I'm not one to judge. But I think it's good to definitely have the conversation of, like, what are your goals? Like, what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? In 5 years, where do you see yourself? These are like conversations you should be having with people when you start to get to know them. Not waiting until y'all are basically in your situationship or maybe relationship, and you find these things out and you're just like, dog, why didn't I ask these things ahead of time? And then you start to realize, maybe this person ain't what I think they are. You know, then you gotta be like, oh, kind of like a good example would be how Stars, you gotta pay $8 a month for it, and Power only comes on for probably about 2 months. Then as soon as Power goes off, you basically are not paying for that channel anymore. That's the same way with getting to know people. You decide whether you want to continue on a daily basis getting to know a person based off what you're learning on a day-to-day basis about the person. Then you gotta start deciding, are you spending your time well off getting to know a person because you guys see eye to eye on a lot of things and y'all work well, you know? A lot of things that you're looking for and they're looking for are aligned. So that's pretty good for you. Or are you half-assing it? So it's like, just like with Netflix, Hulu, some of these apps, you pay for them, but are you really getting your money's worth? Like, are you really getting your money's worth when you have these apps and you spend your money? It's the same way with when you start to put your time into getting to know someone. Are you putting more effort into getting to know a person and it's not being reciprocated back? Are you picking up on a person's habits that you're like, kind of draws a red flag for me? Like when I say habits, like you get some people that their preferred way of communication is a text. Cool. But I think a phone call is better to actually be on the phone, hear a person's voice, and kind of gauge tone and stuff like that. Because you can't do that through a text message. In the process of getting to know people, you have people that tend to go MIA. Like, this is where I say about, like, the money you waste on these apps and you're not really using these apps. It's the same way with people. They'd rather go MIA instead of facing and confronting situations head on. People not giving their all. My thing is, stop getting to know people if you know you're not going to reciprocate what people put into you. Yes, stop putting all your effort into people who don't reciprocate it back to you. A lot of people give half of themselves and not all of themselves. You know, that's not fair to a person when you're trying to get to know them and kind of like building a bond, a foundation with a person. And it's like you're opening up and you're sharing certain things. And basically the person is just kind of like mute or like, oh, okay. So it's like talking to a brick wall. Ain't nobody trying to talk to the wall. again, like, getting to know people is like whether you recommend a service to somebody. It's the same way. You have to weigh pros and cons. You know, don't waste your time on people that bullshit. You know, like, if you notice that a person is bullshit and not giving you what it is that you need from them, cut them short. Cut them short, cut them short, cut them short. Stop wasting your time. And the whole process of getting to know people, the whole point is to try to build and form a relationship, a bond with a person. And you can't do that if you're not willing to be open and forthcoming. You know, I'm not saying pour your life story out to me, but I'm saying, you know, take baby steps as the conversations are going. Start, you know, telling parts and pieces about yourself to the person. You know, don't make it as though one person is basically telling you more than what you're giving in return. That's why I say getting to know a person is basically like the same as deciding whether after a 30-day trial period you want to spend that $12.99 a month. You know, you're going through the process to decide whether it's worth you putting your time, your energy in, and are you going to capitalize off of what you put into it at the end. Is it going to be worthwhile? Are you going to be able to say, hey, I put my best foot forward and this is how it turned out? Are you going to want to tell other people what you did and maybe suggest it to somebody else that they do it? Hopefully that's the case. So that's why this episode is called Will the Real You Please Stand Up? You know, a lot of people give you what they think you want of them initially when you meet them and not actually them. I get it and I don't get it. You know, be honest, be direct, be decisive in what you do and what you say in your actions. Also, gotta shout out Bangers and Banters podcast. Shout out the ladies, you know. Definitely, if you get a chance, listen to Bangers and Banters. They're a dope podcast. I believe they're in the UK, but they're dope. And yeah, that's a wrap.